there's a massive gap between having a great idea and having the technology available to you and making it into a business that people want to buy, people want to work with. That involves some old-fashioned skills like selling and marketing and very unfashionable things. The idea can be as brilliant as you like, but the execution is where Bright Minds helps you. You take those ideas, once they get beyond a certain stage, and you turn them into real businesses with real cash and real profit, instead of them being just clever ideas. If you look at the venture capital industry as it stands today with cheap money, there's too much money being thrown at the wall and hoping for the best. And that feels like the 1980s to me. This is not the right way forward, and quantitative tightening is going to happen. The era of free money is over. When you consider the legal services technology space, I fear that too much money has been burnt on the wrong things. The multiples of some of these investments are completely unsustainable. We have to make a difference. We're the guys that did it ourselves, and we're prepared to apply those skills to help management teams get past hurdles 2, 3 and 4. And I would say the hurdles keep coming. Every time you think you're at the finish line, you really aren't if you're an ambitious management team. And we're appealing to ambitious managers who want to use us and leverage our skill set as well as money. This is not just about money. This is in a sense a passion for us. I think there are very few funds out there with the level of maturity that we have and the level of experience in building these businesses that we have, hands-on, day in, day out, with the cash reserves that we have. Business means you're talking about the corporate environment, and the corporate environment requires an ROI, requires a return on that investment. Legal technology always struggles to demonstrate that, very much so. So any of the businesses that we want to invest in will have to have a demonstrable case to sell to corporates that has an ROI, that has a reason to be there, rather than a slightly theoretical answer that may make things a bit cheaper. The main kind of areas of investment will be in those areas that can demonstrably add value around data, visualization, legal technology. We're looking for the occasional startup, but more likely it'll be post-startup, so what you might call round 2. And that varies by geography in terms of the nature and way in which it's described. If you're purely looking at legal as a proposition for software, you've got a fairly narrow budget and a fairly narrow market, and that is not where corporates are going in the age of digital data. They are not. So my advice is very simple: think beyond legal. Something like 60% to 70% of startups fail. So that means in the United States alone in the next year, some 17,000 businesses will fail. What is the challenge for those businesses? Have the right kind of partner to enable them to get past the first hurdle. I think the era of low-cost money, driven by quantitative easing, particularly in the States and Europe, is driven money towards higher risk capital. So in a way, it's similar to the dot-com boom. Legal technology is a slightly different subset. But if you think that something like $500 billion has been invested in startups in the last 4.5 years, only $1 billion of that has gone into legal tech startups. So the legal industry tends to look in on itself far too much. That's still a remarkably insignificant stat when it comes to startups. My view, for what it's worth, is that legal startups will become less relevant as data and digitization of data becomes a more important part of corporate life. So in other words, the silo, which is legal, and the silo that is finance, all become democratized as data becomes common to all parts of a corporate entity. I don't think anybody genuinely thinks there's anything completely new in an industry that's so highly invested in. I actually think it comes down to the people. And one of the things that's pretty unique is that you stick with the same people. A lot of funds say that. It is never ever true. With Bright Minds, we invest in you and we stick with you. The fund will work is that we will invite people by invitation only from our subscriber base to invest alongside us to make companies successful. If they can't add value, they won't be invited. The exigent cornerstone investor will always be part of this. And the team that goes with that has such a great range of skill sets that teams can't really fail to leverage and benefit from that. One of the things that I remember clearly from my days in private equity was that one non-exec is one non-exec, and you get a lot of bias with that. Whereas if you have kind of the idea that you can swap in and swap out skill sets amongst 2 or 3, then you get a broad range of experience and skills, and we will bring that to bear for all of our investee companies. Is that totally different? If you read plenty of literature, probably not. But the skill set is different, the people are different, from legal to marketing to finance to exit planning or second, third or fourth round funding planning. There's not much of a mix out there that's available to you as an early stage business of the caliber we're talking about. We will be choosy, that we will not be throwing money at the wall. We don't mind if it's 8 years, provided that we can see progress along the way towards those key 2 words, cash and profit. If you can't get to cash and profit in 5 years, don't bother. We are really a test bed for businesses that want to prove their concepts and technology. So it might be, for example, that you are testing new visualization technology, more data management technology. We are the business that can provide a test bed for that on a really significant scale. That in itself is unique. We're a pretty humble investor. We've got plenty of scars on our backs from the experiences we've had, and we've proved we did it ourselves. And that was a pretty big motivator for doing Exigent, and it's a pretty big motivator for going back to our roots in the investment industry. Having that humility to adopt different and new techniques and new technologies all the time is a #1 kind of state of mind. And that is what Bright Minds is about. It's about a state of mind. It's about flexibility of thinking, and absolutely never thinking that your answer is the only one, because it never is, and particularly not in today's world.